is this morning I was out on a little walk and I just started to ponder my whole process since leaving the church. I just kind of break it down for you, tell you what my experience has been so far. So it's just all the different phases that I've gone through. At first, it was this very short-lived bout of excitement and freedom. Like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, the church isn't true? And it was exciting, and then I was like, the church isn't true. And then the dark night of the soul quickly happened. And that is my least favorite part, but I now can look back and see how essential it was for my growth. But it was just crazy how instantly it happened. I was just so excited for the freedom to finally get to choose what I want to believe in. And I felt so free because there were I just kind of started to find more and more things that I did not agree with the church, and I felt forced because I'm like, well, this is the one and only true church, so how can I disagree with God? So that was exciting, and then I quickly hit the dark night of the soul where I suddenly realized, well, if that's not true, if the church is not true, then what about Jesus Christ? What about God? What about our purpose of life? What about life after death? What about eternal families? Like, all these questions, come flooding into your mind, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have no answers anymore. And it's scary, and you feel lost. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you believe in, and everything just feels like pure darkness. And it took some time, but obviously I came out of it. But then my fear kind of transitioned into anger. And suddenly I became angry at the church. I became angry about everything. Angry that I went on a mission. Angry that I had to wear garments all those years and while pregnant. And angry that I never got to have coffee, even though I thought it was healthier than Diet Coke. And like so many different things I just felt so angry about. And I spewed it all online and on the podcast, and Sean and I both, like, it was just this phase that we went through where we were just angry and we were gonna tell everybody about it. And just so you know, I absolutely have no regrets with the whole process. I can look back now and say, oh, maybe that wasn't like the best approach, but I still feel like it was my journey, and it is what it is. It happened, and I can still learn from everything that I have done, and I still feel like everything I have done has served a purpose for me mostly, and hopefully for other people. Okay, then it turned into this like excitement and curiosity of, finally being free to experiment with different things like alcohol, and kind of becoming more open-minded when it came to my own sexuality and all that stuff, which we talked about in different podcast episodes. But just having this mentality around basically feeling like throughout my whole marriage that I shouldn't really enjoy sex with my husband, like maybe a little bit, but it's really not supposed to be that enjoyable. I don't know, it's a weird mentality, but so finally being free there to explore more with my husband and with alcohol. And so it kind of felt just like this like party stage, like rebellious. I wanted to get a tattoo. I just wanted to go to a club. I wanted to just like do everything kind of in like this rebellious, like, oh, and watch rated R movies. Like, I just wanted to do it all. And it kind of felt more of like this rebellious, like, yeah, I get to, and so yeah, then I got through that phase, and then kind of toned down a little bit with that, and kind of took on this feeling of, I have this mission, I must tell people the truth. And so it wasn't about the anger, it was more like, I have to be that person to expose the church, to tell the truth, and to speak up. And again, like, I feel like this is all essential parts of the process. But then eventually that kind of I kind of phased out of that because I started to feel like it was very futile. Like I kind of had this false hope that like everybody would be leaving the church with me, and especially if we get more and more people to speak up about this, which I still believe, like it is a slow burn. Like I still believe that more and more people will be discovering the truth, but I also am of a different mentality, which I'll explain at the end. But I still feel like there is very much there is real value in being open in public about your experience, because there are so many other people who can relate. So in that sense, I feel like, yes, keep speaking up, you're helping people, but I think I just had this fantasy of like everybody within the next 5 years would be out of the church too, and they would realize how much better it is, and like how they've been indoctrinated and brainwashed and all this. So I just had this like false idea of what things would be. Kind of just like lost my enthusiasm for being so outspoken about it. And then I kind of just went through a bit of a silent stage where I was just feeling discouraged, but also very much confused. Like confused about my beliefs and my purpose. Once again, I kind of started thinking about that, like, wait a minute, well, how do we know what is true, and like how do I know that other people are not manipulating me and I'm not getting sucked into another cult? Because I loved reading books and I was listening to all these podcasts and just soaking it all up, and I loved it. It just felt so good and empowering to finally get to be open to all these different ways of seeing the world. But then I started to really question everybody, every author, every podcaster, every YouTuber that I had been learning from. I started to question them, like thinking, oh my gosh, it kind of became this like conspiracy thing. I think I was also influenced by some conspiracies that I've been hearing about and people telling me about all these conspiracy theories. And so I think hearing about the conspiracy theories really influenced my whole mentality, and just really losing trust for everyone. Even to a point where I was questioning my own husband, thinking like, is he part of this? Like feeling like everybody was in on it, and it just was a scary place to be. And I quickly came out of that. I mean, that lasted a few weeks, but it was just like, I didn't know who I could trust, and I just felt like everybody was lying to me, and I was just scared and very much confused about my life and the world and why I'm here. I just felt really jaded. So I took a break from everything, like reading books, listening to podcasts, everything. I just disconnected from everything, and I just really tried to connect with myself. Actually, I don't think I was even trying to connect with myself. I think it just naturally happened because I just finally shut everything off, and I just stopped. And I didn't want to be lied to. I didn't want to be deceived ever again. And so I just kind of had this mentality where I was like, I'm not going to listen to anybody, and I'm just not going to listen. And that just lasted, like I said, just lasted a short moment. And it was actually really good because I really did start to listen to myself and figure out how to find truth through me within. And that has been amazing. Like, I feel like I've really got to this place of understanding on a much deeper level than I've ever experienced before in my life, of what truth is. And it feels good and it feels comforting. And then I just kind of transitioned into acceptance and tolerance and more of a neutral way of seeing the world, with more love and empathy, understanding, and even confident in where I stand and in my own beliefs, and not feeling so easily swayed. It also has helped me have a lot more compassion for the church and members of the church, and I think just realizing that the church can serve a purpose in people's lives, and I didn't want to believe that. at all in the beginning. I just was so upset and felt so deceived, and I felt like everybody needs to know what I know, and I was becoming very judgmental towards members of the church, and I didn't like that in me. I didn't like to see that in me, and I felt like I was kind of just going in circles with my growth, and I didn't like that feeling of, why am I not evolving past this anger and this judgment, and why can't I just get to a place of love and acceptance for everyone in their own beliefs? And I felt like I have more recently gotten to this place of just full-on acceptance, and it feels so much lighter. I feel like I've just been carrying so much weight as I've been trying to convince people, and I feeling, just feeling like I had to convince people of something, or to prove myself, to prove that, hey, I am not lost, I am not deceived by Satan, and I am not going to hell, and my kids are just fine, like I felt like I was just like, had to prove myself. I feel like I have a greater sense of meaning and purpose in my life, and I feel free, and feel excited about life, and I can't wait to continue to learn and continue connecting with myself and finding what my truth is, my own individual truth, and finding that peace within. Like, it is so awesome. I just feel really grateful to be where I'm at, and I just wanted to share that with you, to either see if you guys can relate, or to even offer you some hope that if you are going through a tough part of this, a tough phase as part of this faith transition, I just want you to know that it will get better, and this is all part of the process. Wherever you're at in this process, it will all be okay, and you will come out of it a much better person, and you will feel even more love and tolerance for all, which is something I think we all need right now, right? So just hang in there, my friends. You're doing fine, and just trust the process. Don't try to force yourself out of whatever phase you're in, and just let it be what it is, and it will naturally flow to the right space that you're ultimately hoping to get to.
I've been running round in circles, chasing my tail and lost my way, seeking shelter in different corners, never finding a place to stay. Somehow ended